Well, it's been a couple weeks since I did an update here on my Carvana Corvette. The reason is it's been kind of a complete nightmare. I'll get into more about what's going on with Carvana, but as I told them,
you guys are telling your story. I'm not telling your story. I shared this story about me buying this car, and everybody was like, "You're an idiot. You bought a Corvette from Carvana. How could you possibly do it?" And in the first couple of videos, like, they're covering the dashboard. If they're covering the dashboard, I actually got the fair market value deal for this car, and I've actually gone out of my way to defend Carvana and how buying a car from Carvana is not stupid. I have not made another video in the last week and a half because I've been waiting to see how this situation gets resolved, and I've been hoping that I don't look like a complete idiot on the YouTube side of things, where everybody's saying, I told you buying a Corvette from Carvana was dumb. Right now, the internet's right. Buying a Corvette from Carvana is stupid. And I hope that that isn't the way that this story ends, and I'm waiting to tell the story for whatever this end is. So I would hope that you guys do the right thing and just make this a good experience as it should be. This is insane.
Yeah, I can imagine from your perspective that this has definitely not been going great, and then even from my perspective, it's starting to look like it hasn't been going great as well, and I recognize that.
So that gives you guys a little idea of where this video is going. It hasn't been a fantastic experience, and honestly, I'm still not entirely sure how it's going to wrap, but it seems like things are starting to head in the right direction. I'll explain more in a moment, but first, I get a lot of comments of people saying that they think that I got ripped off on this car, and I don't know if I just didn't do a good enough job explaining what this car is, or what I suspect is that people don't care to actually do any research before they start click-clacking away on that keyboard, and I can't control that. But what I can control is explaining a little bit more about why this Carvana Corvette, I think, actually was priced right. As long as everything gets repaired that should be repaired. Now, I'm going to be getting into all of these things that I'll be doing to this Corvette here in the next coming weeks, but more importantly, this is a C6, a 2013 427. What makes this 427 special is that it is basically the Z06 C6 convertible that Chevy never built. This has the infamous LS7, and yes, I am fully aware that this motor has valve dropping issues. I will be pulling the heads, sending these out to get them repaired. I knew that before I bought the car. That is not on Carvana, that is on Chevrolet. Now, the interior of this thing, and this is where I really appreciated this car probably wasn't thrashed all that much, and you can tell the low miles. The seat bolsters on this thing are in fantastic shape, barely worn at all. The seats are just, the whole interior is very, very clean. The LS7 combined with the Tremec 6-speed, it is just amazing. It's got the black with the red stitching, which this is what is going to have to be replaced. That is the big point of contention right now. Turning this thing on, this is a very low mile 2013, 17,721 miles. So this car was delivered to me on June 5th, and since I got it, let's see, I put 585 miles on it, and it's been mechanically completely fine. A lot of people are saying I overpaid for this car, but the beauty of Carvana is that you have 7 days to return it, no questions asked. So I planned on utilizing that 7 days to put in any warranty claims that I might have, and if they didn't fix it, then I could return it. No big deal. It's really a zero risk proposition. But this car, it has quite a few problems. I'm not going to go over all of what those issues were. I did a video about all the things wrong with my Carvana Corvette. I'll link it up above and at the end of this video. But in that 7-day window, as long as you're smart, you can actually put in some claims against things that damage that they didn't disclose at the point of the sale. That's what I did. So getting this car, the tires were bad. They were 2012 date stamp, which is insane, in 2026. And they gave me $1,851 worth of 4 new tires. So at that point, that deal got much better. So I spent just over 60 grand in this car. And if you look up going rate of 427s under 20,000 miles, that's a fair price for this car all day long. Until you got to throw tires on it, that starts to change things quite a bit. Now, the biggest issue, the dashboard. That's what this video is all about. So I put in a claim within that first 7 days for the dashboard. Carvana sent me an email saying that that claim was approved and it will be fixed at no expense to me. So in that first 7 days, free tires, dash repair was good. The paint blemishes, they weren't going to take care of, but that's honestly the easiest thing for me to fix and the least of my worries out of all of that stuff. So this is where, if you buy from Carvana, the conversation shifts if you decide to keep it beyond that 7 days, is that you want to make sure you get all of your warranty claims in that 7-day window as much as possible and decide if you're going to keep it based on what they say they're going to replace. Now, after that, you also have a 100-day, 4,100 mile warranty. So after 7 days, you own the car, but you also have 100 days and 4,100-ish miles to get other things covered under warranty should there be a problem. LS7 valve drop. So with that, I'm not afraid of driving this car for the next 4,100, and I think I have 77 days left on that warranty, but who's counting? Now, the fork in the road with this car was on June 11th. I had decided that I wasn't going to keep it, because what happened is I reached out to one of the approved shops that they listed to do the dash repair. It was a local collision shop, and the collision shop gave me a quote of $3,214 to do that repair. This was the day before the 11th, so on the 10th, and they said we could do it for $3,200. Well, I called the dealership pretty quickly after I got the quote and said, hey, is that dash even still available? Because I was reading on forums that it was discontinued. And sure enough, they called the dealership and said, yep, dash is discontinued. So now that the dash was discontinued, I wasn't entirely sure how this process was going to go, if they were going to approve a repair or not. So on the 11th, I decided to cancel the order. So I'm going to return the car. Well, in that conversation, talking to the representatives from Carvana, they reassured me, like, hey, look, first of all, we'll give you an extra 24 hours. So I took that 24 hours, and they said, if we said we were going to cover it, I mean, we're going to cover it. And in that same time frame, I reached out to another body shop and said, hey, look, this dash is discontinued. The first shop said they wouldn't even do the work because it wasn't available. They couldn't do it. And this shop said, hey, we'll do it. We'll just take the dash out and send it off to an upholstery shop. Problem is, it's kind of a chicken or the egg kind of scenario where they can't give you a quote to fix the upholstery from the collision shop because they can't get a quote from their upholsterer until they remove the dash and send it to that person and find out, can the leather be saved? All of the stuff that goes into them diagnosing as a specialty shop what it's going to take to even do the work. So they're kind of shooting in the dark, but the problem with the insurance claim is that they have to have a number. So they came in and gave a quote of $8,934. Now that's a cover me number. That's a number for them not knowing what they're even getting into. And for all you guys out there who are going to say, oh, I fixed mine by just injecting a little glue underneath it, that's fine. That's something that if I owned this car and it happened during my ownership, maybe I would consider a DIY fix. But this is a car I just bought under warranty. I want it fixed back to OEM spec. That's what the warranty claim should cover. So yes, it probably could be done shade tree mechanic fix in my garage for much cheaper. I could pull it myself, take it to an upholsterer, much cheaper, but I'm not paying for that because of the dollar amount that I paid for the car, that the condition shouldn't have existed. So with that said, the 24-hour window, that's kind of where this all transpired. I decided to keep the car because they told me if we said we're going to cover it, we're going to cover it. And I had an email from them saying that they would cover it at no cost to me. So deciding to keep this car, I felt like I was pretty much covered legally speaking. Well, boy, it got complicated from there. So now I own the car. It's beyond that 7-day window, including the 24-hour extension. SilverRock came back, the insurance company, and rejected the quote. They said, you can't have a shop pull the dash and then send it to somebody else, basically subletting out that work, subcontracting out that work. So they told me, take it to the dealership. And I'm like, at that point, as soon as they said take it to the dealership, I was like, here we go. Now we're just in a circle of nonsense because, well, the dash has been discontinued. What is the dealership going to do? They're going to look at it and go, hey, dash has been discontinued. We can't fix it. So I called up SilverRock and said, hey, can't take it to the dealership. The dash doesn't exist anymore. You guys are like sending me in circles here. So SilverRock said, what we're going to do is I'm going to call over to the dealership, verify that the dash doesn't exist anymore. Once we do that, we will then approve you to go to an out-of-network shop, which means I could then take it to an upholsterer and have it done directly from that upholstery shop. So great. Well, then I start reaching out to upholstery shops, and lo and behold, specialty upholstery isn't cheap. So in order to get this thing fixed, the shop needs to pull the dash and actually order new leather, stitch it all new. It's a whole thing. So that quote came in at $7,144. So I took that quote, submitted it over to SilverRock and said, there we go. There's your number. And actually, matter of fact, went from 8,900 down to 7,100. We're moving in the right direction because we cut out an extra person. Makes all the sense in the world. So then several days goes by, I hear nothing, and I reach out. There's actually a text message number. You can text them and say, hey, what's up with my claim? They took exception to the fact that the upholstery shop wanted payment up front. This upholstery shop is an out-of-network, has no relationship with this insurance company, and truth be told, the way the insurance company has been kind of pushing me around, I can understand why they want the money up front, because who's to say they're going to get paid? So my take on this is that they're out of network. You don't have a relationship, Mr. Insurance Company. You got to kind of play by their rules, or you can find an upholstery shop. Why am I doing all this work? It was just basically like, you guys figure it out. Well, they responded to me and they told me that if I wanted this shop to be paid up front, which by the way, I didn't want it, the shop wanted it, I would have to pay it out of pocket and then submit for a reimbursement. And if that reimbursement got approved, keyword if, my check would be cut back to me within 7 to 10 days. I'll tell you, the tone shifted for me at that point where I said, enough's enough, not doing this game. So what I did was I went through all the contract with Carvana. I learned some very valuable lessons, which is, number one, there's an arbitration clause. Arbitration clause, that means that if you have a claim, you agree that you're going to go in front of an arbitrator and you're going to kind of hash it out with a neutral party and not sue. Well, the problem that I had was that I was looking to sue because arbitration, not going to get into arbitration here, but for me, it was I have the easiest lawsuit in the history of lawsuits because I have in writing that they were going to cover this at no expense to me, and now I need to spend money because they can't figure out how to pay this, whatever. It was very annoying. I had said to them that what I was going to do was I was going to opt out of the arbitration clause, which I still have 30 days to do. As of today, I actually have opted out of that arbitration clause because I'm still not totally convinced we're smooth sailing here. It seems like maybe we are, but I don't know. So I did opt out of that before that time expires. And they reached out to me, and I had a very long conversation with those people.
Yeah, considering all the things that are going on, I can appreciate you having a warm demeanor as well, considering the situation. When I was reading through the email here that I have for the vehicle you saw, that you have, 2013 Corvette 427, it looks like there are some things that do need to be completed on the vehicle. However, It appears that the point of contention seems to be the payment process. Is that correct?
I mean, that's pretty high level. Yeah, it's just very frustrating that, like, for the warranty work for this, it's been like a ton of labor on my end to the point where SilverRock hasn't really done anything, and it's been a lot of work for me. And then being told that I need to pay for an out-of-pocket repair when they've done virtually nothing, and then I anticipate that I'm going to get paid back is asinine. I'm pretty frustrated by the whole thing.
Yeah, and I can recognize that frustration. I would be just as frustrated as well. SilverRock came back and felt that the request for $8,934 was fairly egregious due to the fact that, there's baked-in costs with subletting. Right, that contract is going to be paid back to Sam's Auto Body, and then they'll pay that company to then accomplish that. But there has to be some transaction that Sam's Auto Body is making.
The deal is, because that dash doesn't exist anymore, you can't just order a new one. So you guys initially wanted me to go to a body shop, and the body shop would order the dash from Chevy and then have it, and then they would install it themselves. Well, since it doesn't exist anymore, the only option is to remove the dash, which a body shop would do that. And then they have to then send it to an upholsterer because there's 0 body shops in America that also do upholstery. So the problem was the upholsterer said, I don't know how much this is going to cost because I don't have the dash in front of me. So the Sam's Auto Body had to quote the job to cover the cost of whatever it was going to be. And that's why it was $8,000. So Sam's Auto Body was going to front all of this because obviously SilverRock isn't going to pay until the claim is done. So Sam's Auto Body is going to take all of the risk of taking this dashboard out and then having the upholsterer come back and say, hey, this is actually more money, and cuts into their profits. So that was it was the only way to do this through your guys' approved in-network shops. Well, once that claim got denied because you guys felt like the price was too expensive, it's not cheap, they said you're approved to go to a third-party out-of-network shop. You can take it to an upholsterer yourself, and they can do the work. So I took it to the upholsterer, and oddly enough, their number was $7,000, so really not that much further off from what Sam's was. But then you guys said, well, because they want money up front, we can't pay them. Well, they're not in network. You guys don't get to call those shots because they're not in your network. You guys approved the out-of-network for a specialty upholstery shop to do work on a very expensive car, and they are requiring a payment up front because they don't know who SilverRock even is. So none of this is my problem, but somehow it's all become my problem because you guys told me when I called and tried to return the car, you guys were like, hey, no problem. We'll give you an extra 24 hours to decide whether or not you're going to keep it. And if SilverRock said they were going to cover it, they're going to cover it. I also have an email from you guys saying that I would have zero out-of-pocket expense for this, and that has now changed. This has all been done on recorded phone conversations. So now all of a sudden you guys are saying that I need to out-of-pocket $7,000 and then submit for a reimbursement later, which is insane. So where do we go from here?
Sure, and I want to assess where we go from here. And I'm sorry, this process has been frustrating, going back and forth from shop to shop, and with SilverRock, that whole thing. I'll be 1,000% honest. This is all adjudicated by the SilverRock side. If it comes down to it, where we would go next with this is that if you're not willing to do the $7,000 out of pocket and then be reimbursed, then essentially that puts SilverRock, yourself, and I guess us at a rock and a hard place. And the only thing that I could do would be to approve an exchange or return exception at that point.
Well, the problem is you guys only have, I was looking at your site last night because I figured you might bring this up. You guys have another 2013 427, but it's $9,000 more expensive than the car that I bought, and I'm not paying $9,000 more for a car because you guys couldn't get your stuff together. That doesn't seem fair either.
And I truly agree with you. I feel the exact same way. I'm not stating pay $9,000 more for a vehicle as well. I agree with you wholeheartedly there, and I already understand how rare this vehicle is. There's only 1,000 of the 60th anniversary 427s. There's a total of 2,500, I think 2,500 and some odd change of this car at all. I used to be a new car sales manager for Chevy during this time period, so there's not very many of these out here, and I recognize that. So my suggestion will only come in if the reimbursement sense can't happen. Then essentially the only thing we could do would be an exchange or return exception. The other option that I have is waiving my arbitration clause and suing you guys because I have an email from Carvana that says that you guys were going to cover it with no expense to me. That's an email from you guys. So it will be the easiest court case ever won in the history of court cases. It's insane. So you're saying SilverRock basically manages the entire program. You guys, you contract SilverRock to manage your warranties. So they're your company. You're both in Phoenix. Like, I would imagine that the Garcias are probably heavily in tune or ingrained with SilverRock also. And it's all just like one giant circle jerk of like automotive companies here that for some reason Carvana said that I would have this covered out of a warranty claim. And now all of a sudden, because it's expensive, changed their mind. I mean, like, it costs what it costs. And if Carvana doesn't like that, they should stop selling high-end
rare sports cars. It's like, otherwise they can't, or on these 427s, there should not be a warranty that's associated with them if you guys can't warranty them, if they're too expensive to work on.
I do wish to find the email, because if there's an email that outright directly states that somehow we're covering this with no additional cost.
I'll read it to you right now.
Explain to me where that was. Yeah. No, I believe you that you have it.
Your repair has been approved. This is an email. Hold on. Your repair has been approved. This is an email from Carvana. The following cosmetic concern has been approved for repair at an in-network repair shop if completed within the next 60 days at no cost to you. But because you guys didn't like the amount of money it was going to cost, you decided that was no... And this is why I chose to keep the car after you guys gave me an additional 24 hours, was because I had in writing that this would be covered at no cost to me. So the whole contract was entered into like under false pretenses. And the funny thing is, these contracts are also written with implied. It's like, oh no, you may not have, there's no other implied warranties with this deal. This is an explicit, not implied. This is an explicit warranty. It's like clearly in writing that this is going to be taken care of.
Absolutely. And I do recognize, we're talking about the same email that was sent to you on, what day is this one from? This is from 6/9/2026 at 10:03 a.m.
Correct.
It's the dashboard, correct?
Yep.
And it has the step one, go to these 3 facilities.
I mean, look, I've got a series on YouTube right now about this Carvana Corvette. And the fun thing about this whole situation is that you guys are telling your story. I'm not telling your story. You guys have, for Lord knows what reason, made this so incredibly ridiculously hard. And the Carvana Corvette story would have been me sharing about, so I shared this story about me buying this car, and everybody was like, you're an idiot, you bought a Corvette from Carvana, how could you possibly do it? And in the first couple of videos, like, they're covering the dashboard. If they're covering the dashboard, I actually got the fair market value deal for this car, and I've actually gone out of my way to defend Carvana and how not buying a car from Carvana is not stupid. I have not made another video in the last week and a half because I've been waiting to see how this situation gets resolved. And I've been hoping that I don't look like a complete idiot on the YouTube side of things, where everybody's saying, I told you buying a Corvette from Carvana was dumb. Right now, the internet's right. Buying a Corvette from Carvana is stupid. And I hope that that isn't the way that this story ends. And I'm waiting to tell the story for whatever this end is. So I would hope to God that you guys do the right thing and just make this a good experience as it should be, because it simply just should. This is insane.
Yeah, I can imagine from your perspective that this has definitely not been going great, and then even from my perspective, it's starting to look like it hasn't been going great as well, and I recognize that. As this is my first time getting an understanding of the full situation, I'll be happy to tackle this and hopefully clear and clean the situation up as far as I can, or as much as I can, with advocating for you appropriately. And I do understand that there's a connotation with buying a car online at all, because everyone's so used to doing it the old way. However, these sort of situations are few, far, rare in between. My entire team is only 14 people. This isn't a very common thing, as Carvana sells roughly 72,000 to 80,000 cars a month. So I do apologize that this is happening, and I do understand that this particular vehicle is about as rare as it gets. Honestly, close to as rare as it gets, with 1,000 of these only being made. But I'm going to tackle this and hopefully clean and clear up the situation. What that looks like as of right now, I don't have an official answer for you, but I will be happily able to get to that answer by tomorrow.
Look, I appreciate that. And honestly, I also appreciate and have a very healthy understanding of how insurance operates. And I appreciate that SilverRock isn't interested in prepaying a shop to do work, because they have no guarantee the work gets done, and then we're all stuck in the middle. But I do genuinely believe that there is a very valid solution here that's the easiest for everybody, which is to cut me a check to get this work done myself, and then I take on all of the risk of that shop not doing the work, and I have signed away my rights to pursue, and be very clear here, only this claim for the dashboard, put that responsibility shifted on me so that I can actually go out and get this thing repaired with a specialty shop that has every right in the world to demand an upfront payment, because they need to go out and source very expensive leather that is only going to be used for this vehicle, and they're not going to do it unless they have the money up front. It's like that simple. So being that I come from construction, I am very, very aware how specialty trades work, and they call the shots. So hopefully you guys can come together with SilverRock and say, let's just draft up an agreement with this guy, write him a check, and let him go get those repairs done. But I'll let you come up with the solution. I'm just throwing that out there as an idea.
So in the days that transpired after that conversation, suddenly the upholstery shop is getting made whole, or working out whatever they're working out with the insurance company. And now all of a sudden we're back to they're taking care of everything that they said they were taking care of in the first place. So it has been an absolute complete nightmare dealing with this entire process. Now, for those of you out there who are saying never buy a car from Carvana, you could use this as an example as why not. However, I can tell you guys that used cars are used cars. Most of them come from the same place, which is auctions, wholesale auctions. That's where most of the inventory comes from on every lot here in the US. So if you think you're going to a dealership and they're telling you some story about how some super nice 85-year-old man just came in and traded this car in, one owner kind of deal, it's probably not true. Probably came from a wholesale auction. So you have to rely on the information that you can actually verify, not stories, including private market. So a lot of these guys out here in these comments are like, oh, I bought my Grand Sport, which for some reason Grand Sport guys are comparing the price they paid for a Grand Sport to the 427, not even the same car, aside from being a Corvette. But even if you go and buy from somebody that you know, or somebody on Facebook, you don't know how that thing was maintained. So the argument for Carvana is that there's no other dealership in America that I'm aware of that will drop a car off at your house, cut out all of the annoying negotiation stuff. If the price of the car you think is fair based on just running values of the cars nationwide, which is exactly where I was at with this car, you think the number's right, you buy it, they deliver it, and then you have 7 days to drive it, figure out if you want to keep it, and just send it back. Not a lot of dealerships are doing that. That's a huge value to the consumer. Now, the 4,100 mile warranty for 100 days, whatever it is, that's another added value. You have a little bit of backing there as well. And then also you have the contract where if you want, you can opt out of arbitration and continue on through lawsuits if you have to do that. So there's actually a lot of protection dealing with Carvana. As much as people might have horror stories left and right, the horror stories really are on the consumer. If you decide to keep that car, it's really more on you than it is them, because you had the option to return it. Not many other dealerships will have that kind of scenario. So I don't know. Where am I at with this Corvette now? It's mine. I'm keeping it. I'm actually thrilled that I have this car. I love every second of it. My experience with this car, I'm able to compartmentalize and kind of have it different from like what I'm dealing with Carvana. I will be made whole through Carvana, whether it's them choosing to do the right thing or me having to force the issue. It really isn't that big of a deal for me. I'm going to get in to start doing all the maintenance on this. I've got my decks cool so I can do my coolant flush. I've got my ATF so I can do transmission, power steering flush, the 75W90 for the rear differential. I've got Castrol, SRF. This stuff is not cheap, but I've heard great things. I was going to go with Motul, but I've got enough brake fluid to do the brakes and the clutch. I've got brake pads, because these pads, not only is it time, but they also throw off the absolute most amount of brake dust. So we are going to go to this carbon fiber ceramic pad. I've got rear trunk struts, windshield wipers. This is what I would call like the optional upgrade stuff, like electronics. I'm going to swap all of the lighting to LEDs. I've got a new head unit from Kenwood to go in there. I'm actually very excited to do the LED brake and front amber turn signals, a backup camera, all of this stuff. So the goal with this C6 is to keep it OEM plus is really what I'm going for. Is if this car were built today, what are some creature comforts that would be there without losing the 2013-ness of this car. And LEDs are an absolute no-brainer. And I think that the head unit is also an absolute no-brainer, because I am going to be able to reproduce a modern version of this Corvette logo and keep it very, very OEM, to the point where I don't think most people would even notice that it wasn't. So that is the update on this Carvana Corvette. Again, Carvana, anybody from Carvana watching this video, you're kind of choosing your own adventure here when it comes to this story. And I truly meant when I said that. It's not a threat. Everything I'm saying here is what happened, and I will only tell you guys, the viewers, what happened. It's a very interesting thing to have a YouTube channel, because you just get to share the truth. And the beauty behind that is that I can't lie, because if I lie, they could sue me, and I'm not interested in that either. So out here, just telling you guys how this whole thing goes as a consumer of Carvana, Carvana car, and that is kind of where we're at. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. I will be making some videos getting into some of the mechanical maintenance stuff on this car. I only wanted to put, I think I said about 500 miles on this thing so far. I haven't really done, well, I actually did change the motor oil already. That was had to happen right away, because I wasn't sure if Carvana had done that. The rest of the fluids are coming out of there, because I don't know, these things could be from 2013. Who knows? So with that said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. See you guys next time.